So the British National Overseas Visa, the visa, people in Hong Kong were British national overseas passport holders or became such by 1997. But the visas, and they could come here as visitors, but not work or anything like that. The visa scheme was set up in January, I've got 2021 here, I think, yes, January 2021 by the government, and open to all people in Hong Kong who had this BNO, British National Overseas Status, which, as noted, is about 5 million or so people. Under the visa, people can apply to come to the UK, they can bring dependents, and also, as long as they apply at the same time, they can bring adult children 18 years plus and their partners or spouses, I imagine, as long as they're applying at the same time. People for the BNO visa will either apply for 2.5 years or they'll apply for 5 years. The fees differ, and also they have to pay the NHS surcharge for each individual, which is either an annual figure or you can pay for the 5 years. But so, for example, 5 years NHS health surcharge for an adult for 5 years is something over £3,000. So in a family, that's quite a substantial amount of money. They have to have enough money to support themselves because they are not entitled to access state benefits. So they are what's called NRPF, no recourse to public funds. And I need to talk about that in a little bit more detail later on. I've mentioned that the visa at the moment is not available to people who were born after 1997, unless they come with their parents, but that is going to be extended in the autumn. And I think that we'll see that those young people arriving with less capital than others have slightly different needs. I've got a summary I'll show you about what people are entitled to when they have the BNO visa. It doesn't work when I do it here. Okay, I'll have to just scroll down. Something that I can do when I've got it on Word, which I can't do here, I'm afraid. Sorry, here we are. Right, okay. So this is indicative only. Please be aware, as I mentioned earlier, this isn't to be used in accurate benefits advice, but it's a general summary. I'll make it a little bit larger and we'll go through it one line at a time. So the BNO visa, can you see that okay? The British National Overseas Visa for any person and their dependents registered before 1997, and they, as long as they can show they can support themselves and their family for at least 6 months in the UK and pay the NHS surcharge. 2.5 years or 5 years. They can extend the visa after that point, and once they've extended for 1 year, they have the option to apply for indefinite leave to remain in the UK, and then move on to applying for British nationality. A very important part of the BNO visa is that people can work. Yes, they may work. Some people manage to get jobs before they leave Hong Kong, although most people, it does seem, try to get work while they're here. And the majority of people that are coming, partly probably because of the need to support themselves for 6 months, are selling capital assets and pensions and things so that they can come over with the money they've got. They are NRPF, as I mentioned. Now, this means no benefits like child benefit, income support, universal credit, housing benefit, things like that. But that's not the same as all things that are funded from public money. So no recourse to public funds is focused on the benefits, housing and homelessness support you can get. Now, once people's resources and things run out, if they start to get to the point that they're struggling to maintain a home and they may become homeless, they can approach the local authority for help with homelessness. And at that point, it's possible to apply for a change of the conditions on their visa that would then remove this restriction so that they could access public funds, benefits, housing support, homelessness support. And in that case also, the local authority can help them to apply for that change in the conditions and restrictions on them. And the local authority can claim up to £2,700 thereabouts, in order to fund the support that they're providing to that family or to that family. But generally speaking, the majority of Hong Kong arrivals have no recourse to public funds, and it's likely to remain like that for some time. In terms of schooling, yes, they have the right to study. The children have the right to go to school, and in fact, as you're probably aware, in Britain it is legal. It's a legal requirement that children under 17 go to school. So it is up to the family to apply for school places. Of course, the local authority has to provide them with a suitable place. But where families are applying to schools that are completely full, for example, Ofsted Outstanding, or schools in areas where, you know, several 1,000 Hong Kong families or several hundred Hong Kong families have already settled. So those schools are becoming very full. So the local authorities are starting to place Hong Kong children in schools further away. And this is one of the things that's also contributing to mobility, whereas if the children settle into the school, are happy, the family is more likely to move away to the area. In terms of university, yes, they can study at university, but they will have to pay overseas fees, which are in the region getting on for about £3,000 a year. So that's unless they can obtain scholarships, which are limited in universities, of course. And then NHS, I'm not sure you can see this. The NHS, as long as they pay the NHS surcharge, which they have to do to get the visa, they get full access to NHS services, and that includes mental health support, of course. I'm just going to contrast that very briefly with asylum seekers. So those few Hong Kong young people who've come through the asylum process, they're not allowed to work. If they're destitute, then the Home Office will house them and give them up to £36 a week. Yes, the children can go to school, and there is some opportunity for study as well. And those asylum seekers also get full NH services as well. The BNO visitors, who are people who've come here for up to 6 months on a visitor visa, not a BNO visa, slight difference, but some people may come as a visitor and then apply for the full visa once they're here. During that time, they can stay for 6 months, but they can't work, and they can't get benefits, but they can pay the health surcharge and get access to full NHS services.